Eh. Oh no, I'm having the tech issue. There we go. Okay.
All right, hello everyone. We are back again, and we have a good show for you this evening. We have three topics that we will be discussing. We are going to be discussing Erick Dewaun, the man who basically ordered two teens to kill his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend. He also ordered, if she got in the way, to kill her. Well, the ex-boyfriend got away, jumped out of the window, and went and got help, but they did kill the ex-girlfriend. We are also going to be discussing the nurse who amputated uh, a man who came in with frostbite to his feet. She amputated his feet without his knowledge and without doctor uh, permission. And then we're going to be discussing what is the name again, Kara?
I'm sorry, what?
The young lady that says that she feels like the entertainment world is changing due to social media.
Oh yeah, was that Jennifer Aniston, I believe.
Yeah, so
Yes.
and that's going to be our next topic as well. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just jump right into it. I have it where I can share. I don't know if they can see that. Well, I'm gonna just read it from here. That's too much. Okay, so a man is facing charges for his involvement in the death of mother of his 1-year-old child early this week in Brooklyn Park, and that took place here in Minnesota too. By the way, the name is Erick Dewaun Haynes. He's 23. Is one of three people charged in the connection to the death of 23-year-old Zaria McKeever. He faces 2 counts of second-degree murder. In a post-Miranda statement, police say Haynes admitted he was mad at McKeever over their relationship ending, and her basically having a new boyfriend. Pure evil and jealous is what they wrote. That's what led to it. Ep said she was better. She was better in her life, and she knew that he was the downfall, and he was, and he proved that. Part of the reason why things were going the way they were for her. Police say McKeever had told her boyfriend Monday that Haynes had been following her and had seen someone she knew to be friends with Haynes around her apartment complex. McKeever's boyfriend told investigators that Haynes had been threatening and harassing her for weeks.
Wow.
Video footage from the apartment complex allegedly shows a vehicle associated with Haynes at the complex several times in the days prior to the shooting. Haynes told police he had two boys. He had two boys that went to the apartment with the intention of beating up McKeever's new boyfriend. Haynes allegedly waited in the car while 2 others went to the apartment armed with a pow pow that Haynes brought to kick in the apartment door and confront the people inside. The complaint says McKeever's boyfriend was in the bathroom when the front door was kicked in. He heard his girlfriend arguing with someone before he jumped from a second-story window, left the area, and found someone to call 911. Police say video footage shows 2 boys fleeing from the apartment complex. Shortly after shooting, Haynes allegedly drove the men away from the scene.
Wow. That's a story right there.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
thing,
So
it's
your
like,
take on
it's sad because it's like people can't accept when things are over. I mean, if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. It's over. You know what I mean? Find somebody else. It's
and it
not.
sounds like stalking her, wasn't? Is that what you were saying? He was stalking her?
Yeah, he had been watching for weeks, so this was planned.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, definitely watch if you're being stalked. Like, call a shelter. Something stalking usually doesn't end well. If someone's stalking you, you know what I mean. Statistically speaking, I used to work with victims of domestic violence, so I remember going through trainings. You know, with specifically on the topic of stalking, and whether it's an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever, whoever it is, do you know what I mean? Like that gets into some real dangerous territory, and a lot of
Yeah.
times it does not. It, so that's a huge red flag. Now it was her that was killed and her child.
No, the child, just her.
Did it her and her boyfriend?
Yeah. No, the
Okay.
boyfriend got away. He was in the bathroom when they kicked in the
Okay.
door. So he
Yeah.
jumped out of the window and ran and got help and called 911.
Okay.
But
Okay.
it was
And they,
intended for him. But he did tell the two teenagers if she got in the way to pow her.
wow. So did this guy have like a history of like mental illness or any sort of violent tendencies or anything like that? I'm wondering.
I didn't read that, but I
Okay.
mean, as far as like violent history, I would say he probably did if he went to that length of measures. But I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I want to, just blame everything on mental illness. Sometimes I just think people just they're
Oh no,
so
I'm not on
and
mental
they.
illness. I'm trying to see if there was a track record. You know what I mean? Like
I
some sort of
guarantee you, there's
yeah.
probably a track record of domestic abuse.
Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, that's like, absolutely. My take on it is there's no excuse for something like that. Even if, you know what I mean, like yeah,
Yeah,
mental illness is terrible, but there is no. I mean, you still a part of you, no matter how deep, you've got to know right from wrong. You know what I mean, and that murder is just wrong. I mean,
right.
to go to that length and to get to that point where he realized there's no other way to solve this other than, do you know what I mean? Like having
Yeah,
this end, like, was there not like, I don't even know. I will never understand that mindset, what goes on in their heads. It's like, do you know what I mean? Like people's heads, that they would get to that point where they would cross that boundary.
yeah. They can't let go. They can't accept. They can't accept rejection.
So it's
You
like
know
an
what I'm
ego
saying?
thing, maybe.
Huh?
Do you think it's like an ego thing?
It's an ego thing, and then the fact that they had a child together. Some men think once you have a child by them, you belong to them. You know what
So
I mean?
yeah, so like he maybe took it as he owned her, and she, she owed him that loyalty, but
Yeah,
obviously he wasn't deserving of it. And now
exactly.
now that poor child has to grow up without a mother.
And a father, because
Yeah,
now
well, yeah,
he's gonna be gone too.
good. I mean, he doesn't need that kind of dad in his life. I'm sorry. Like he,
But then, but what makes it even sadder is that you coerced two teenagers into doing this. So you just messed up. You took her life. You took her from her son. You took yourself from your son, and now you just took these two kids, teenagers, and ruined their lives.
just like he had to take people down with him. He had to.
Yeah,
He couldn't just do this himself. So
yeah.
it's
He was
kind of like,
too weak to do it
it was like
himself.
that was cowardly on him. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that was just like, such a cowardly act. Like why? Like if you're gonna do something, like just don't drag anyone else into it. That's a mindset, like I said, I will never understand.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. That's insane. I can't. Yeah, to cross that line is just what goes on through people's heads, like that gets them to the breaking point. Now, did she have family nearby? Did it say anything about that? Who can take,
No.
Okay, I didn't know, like with the son, with her child, if anyone's going to take custody. Do you know what I mean? Like if she had any
Yeah.
family for that.
I
That's,
tried to
that's,
go on Google and see if there was some more information out there.
yeah, I
Um,
didn't see that
yeah,
either. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that, I don't know. I just feel like violence, and that's something where it's happened, throughout history, but violence has been increasing a lot. And I don't know if it's combined, stress with, the past 3 years and everything that's been going on. And like I said, there's absolutely no excuse for it. I'm just trying to take into account, like, what is it? Just, in my small town, that I grew up in, I just heard there was, it's a very small town, like nothing ever happens there, right? And just
hmm
within time, there was a church broken into, and the corner store was robbed at gunpoint. Like nothing like that ever happened in my entire life has ever happened in that small town. and now it's like within a week's time. So it's just like, to me, like, you know, I don't know, it's just crazy. Like, violence is increasing. I don't know. And I know
Yeah.
violence is a thing. I just feel like, I don't know. Inflation's through the roof, and, you know, people are just stressed, and it's putting people over the top. I don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It's crazy.
I
It's just, yeah.
say, like,
It's in, yeah, it's intense, and it's hard to talk about because, you know, it's not something you want to think that anyone could possibly have that in them. Do you know what I
mhm,
mean? Like,
yeah.
he claimed to have loved her at any point. Do you know what I mean? And if he claims to have loved their child, do you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
like you bring two other innocent people into that, that's inexcusable.
Well, sometimes people only think about themselves too. Because
It
there
had
was another
to have,
incident, like what,
yeah.
a couple months ago, where
Hmm.
it was two parents kind of did the same thing, but they were two different incidents. So the first one was the young man who went live, and he was
Hmm.
saying how his kid's mother was cheating, and she did this and she did that, and he had the kids there, and he was saying on live he was gonna pow them, and he did.
Yeah. Oh,
Self, you know what I mean? Just selfish.
wow.
You only thought about yourself. And it was vice versa with the other parent, which was a mother who did pretty much the same thing. She off one of the kids, she tried to off the other one, but they made it, and then she was gonna do herself, but she couldn't.
It's like, just keep the kids out of it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, for real, I don't. That's absolute insanity. I don't even know. I can't. Like I said, I have 5 kids myself, and I am so mama bear protective over them. I could not imagine, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go after anyone who tries to go harm my child. You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
mother, especially mother? Like, it's bad enough with a dad, but like, you know what I mean, with like that mother bond and everything with your child. Like, how can you? I don't know. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's It literally just gave me the chills when you told me that happened. Like, that's how much it affected me. Like, I just can't.
Right. And yeah.
Yeah.
So, and so then the next story is the nurse who
Yes.
amputated the man's foot that was frostbitten. Now, she said I don't know if her intentions were good or not, but as a
Kind
nurse,
of
I
wondering.
don't think that's what your degree allows you to do. Number one, you didn't have doctor's permission or the patient's permission. And then I
Yeah.
have questions about the other nurses.
Yeah. Okay, so where was this person found that she amputated the
I
leg?
believe that was in Wisconsin.
Okay, so I mean, were they like out in the elements? The guy came into the hospital. Like, what's the
He
story?
was
I
in
didn't.
he was in the hospital. I believe it was a nursing home or a hospital, but he was in.
Okay.
Let me go to it.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to look at this one, so I was just wondering what the details were. Because that thought had kind of crossed my mind too. How you were like, I don't know if her intentions were good, but even still, I would think in medical training. I mean, no matter how well your intentions were, because you figure you probably see crazy, insane you know, life
Yeah.
altering stuff all the time. But where's that line of crossing morality? Do you know what I mean? And like the ethical code for, how you treat your patients and things like that.
So he was in a hospital,
Okay.
and I'm pulling it back up. So it says Wisconsin nurse accused of amputating frostbite patient's foot, planning to display it at a taxidermy shop. That
I
was the part that kind of lost me. Um,
Yeah.
Amputating a dying frostbite patient's foot without permission and allegedly telling coworkers she would display the body part in her family's taxidermy shop she has been criminally charged. Mary Kay, her name is Mary Kay Brown. She was 38, or she is 38, has been charged with physical abuse of an elder person, intentionally causing great bodily harm and mayhem. A criminal complaint obtained by WQOW detailed that Brown was a hospice nurse at the Spring Valley Health and Rehab Center in Spring Valley, where she was assigned to care for the unnamed 62-year-old male frostbitten patient. The patient was admitted to the facility in March of this year, and health officials determined he was close to death by May. So basically, he didn't have much time to live. They weren't giving him much time, basically. Severe frostbite on both feet after the heat in his home went out, according to the criminal complaint. Witnesses told investigators that Brown amputated the man's right foot on May 27th after it had become neurotic and was only attached to the body by skin and a couple of tendons. The man had not asked for his foot to be amputated, and a doctor had not given Brown permission to carry out the amputation. The body was sent to the county medical examiner due to the unusual circumstances of his death, and Brown was charged after the medical examiner's office contacted investigators in June. The medical examiner said the right foot was not attached to the man, but was rather lying beside him, according to the complaint. Brown told police that she performed the amputation to make the patient more comfortable, and that she would have wanted the same if she were in the same position. Another nurse that was in the room at the time of the amputation said she was holding the patient's hand. She reported his grip became tight and he moaned during the procedure. The outlet reported another nurse told investigators with the Pierce County Sheriff's Office that she spoke to the man after the amputation, and he relayed that he felt everything and that it hurt. Another nurse said the amputation was not done correctly. Brown allegedly told other nurses that her family owns a taxidermy shop and that she wanted to preserve the foot and place it in the store with a sign reading, get this, "Wear your boots, kids." Yeah.
So she was trying to send out some sort of like message while completely was she trying to think it was some sort of like mercy amputation or something from the sound
How was
of it?
Okay, if it was a mercy, I mean, it sounds like that's what she's trying to say, but okay, he felt it. So you obviously didn't numb him or give him anything where he couldn't feel the pain.
And a nurse would not be trained in that. Like, that would have to be an actual surgeon. Like, and her being in the medical field, you would think she would know that much. No, I'm just wondering if she had a history at all of any other, ethical, maybe red flags that came up in the past, that she did something not even similar with another patient, but at least like something where it was like, did she send out, because to me that had to have been something, if she said she was going to display it in her home, right?
In her family's taxidermy shop.
Okay. So she was going to display that. That leads to more questions. Like, do you know what I mean? Something where she was waiting for an opportunity like this to come up. So do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's like really thought provoking, because that leads to like a whole bunch of questions.
It leads to a bunch of questions, like
weird. And
but then I have questions about the other nurses too. So
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
As trained nurses, I'm sure you all know that is not your background. That's for you're there to assist doctors, right? So you guys didn't think like to report this. You see no doctor present.
I don't understand why that nurse who was, because you said there was a nurse in there during the procedure, right? There is another nurse. So why did she not try and stop this nurse? I mean, I'm not in the medical field, but I would think that's common sense that a nurse is not qualified to perform a surgical procedure. I mean, that's just, I don't know. That's my take on it. It's a medical field, but that's insane. Like, so you'd have to question it. I wonder if there's going to be any, I don't know, like ramifications for the nurse who just stood by and let it happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would think they'd have trouble for that.
She definitely will. She should.
I would hope so.
It's it's kind of like you're a mandated reporter. So it was
Exactly.
your duty to make sure that this patient got the proper care, and that's not the proper care because that's not your area.
Yeah, it's not your area, and there was no consent. And why would he have consented to a nurse doing it? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, there's all sorts of wrong in that. I don't even know. Right?
I don't know what be going on in people's heads these days. I don't
I'm saying
know.
the same thing because, like I said, there's so many questions that could be asked about that whole thing, and that would be digging more into her background and everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Mm, that poor guy, because
Something's in the water. I don't know.
some's in the water, some's in some. I don't even know. As I said, like it's just increased like so much with the violence and the mental health and depression and everything. I'm just kind of like, is that all of this stuff just and people just can't handle it and they're just like acting rashly in all these ways that would they have otherwise acted this way? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like all these like really deep thought provoking conversations that you
Yeah,
know
like where you just want to be like, what was she thinking? Like
because
literally what made her think that was okay?
because that would be so gruesome. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
would just gruesome thing. Like how could you? I probably if I was the other nurse watching the procedure, I probably would have thrown up. Just like what? Do you know what I mean? Like
I wouldn't have, I would
I,
have been like, no.
but I was
And I
about to
would have
say, I probably
reported her. I literally would have reported her.
yeah, that too. After I threw up watching it, like that would just be that's just. And this poor guy, now he's got to go. I don't care if they didn't give him much time left to live because it's still like have some respect for him and give him some dignity. Like
Yes.
that that completely violated his body, and that's not okay. That's
Right.
just wrong on a
Exactly.
very yeah.
What if she's
Wow.
one of those people who steals organs? Things like that.
I don't even know. That's a whole nother topic. Oh man. Oh man. This is why I guess, us normal people, I don't even know we're never gonna be able to like even come close to understanding that mindset. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
just it's intense and I think unless you I don't even know, have completely gone off the edge or something. I don't even know. We need like a psychologist up in here try and try and explain like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like is there warning signs, red flags maybe for people to watch for in case someone starts acting differently at work or
Yeah, because
whatever.
I'm sure there were red flags, but you know, sometimes we don't always pay attention because we're
uh,
so consumed with things we have going on. So
oh
if you're in a
exactly.
work environment, especially a hospital, you're busy. So you might not notice, you know?
Exactly. I mean, there may be some things here and there, but I'm sure, like, in it and two, sometimes I think, it's brushed off just because, like you said, either time or, other reasons. They just, first, they're not wanting to um, be the one to speak out. And maybe they're afraid of, like, getting shamed. Do you know what I mean? For, like, reporting something and then they would find out that they were, like, falsely accusing the person. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, in that situation, that's not false reporting. That's
No,
like,
no, I'm talking about before this happened. If there was red flags
oh, yeah,
before, yeah, yeah, no, that wouldn't be false reporting once it happened. Obviously, I'm saying like leading up to this,
right.
specific event. Like, were there red flags that were maybe brushed aside because that's true. People I know, in every field, that happens where they're afraid to report someone suspicions of certain behaviors because they don't want it coming back on them. Especially, you don't ever
Yeah,
want to use someone. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So
yeah.
here's the thing. I feel like that's a big problem today is
Hmm.
the no snitch rule.
The
I feel
lack
like
of
that's a big problem in a lot of areas in the community and the health play anywhere. I mean, I just feel like it's a big problem because even if you just went to a person and said, well, I can't say for sure, but this is what I noticed. It seemed like a little off to me. And
hmm
then you leave it up to that person to look into it. It's
Yeah.
so then you're not just saying you're not outright saying that this is what this person is doing, but you're just kind of like putting it on the table to
Yeah.
look out for.
Yeah, you just want to make sure that you are, and even in the approach of, I just want to extend a listening ear. Do you know what I mean? Is there
Yeah,
something going on with you? Something like that. Um, and I think that falls in the area of communication skills. That's gone downhill too.
yeah,
But people definitely need. I feel like need to communicate more. And like I said, lack of courage. Unfortunately, people are so afraid of, everyone's sue happy and everything. They don't want to get sued. You know what I mean? They don't want to
yeah.
get, accused of, defamatory statements or anything like that.
Right.
But like, it's like, what's the cost of that though? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't, speak up, if you suspect something, like, I don't know.
Yeah. There are
Crazy.
ways to word things, I think, to
Absolutely.
protect yourself, but still kind of show concern. That's what I think.
Well, let's just say you have to show compassion, because sometimes maybe that can make the difference for someone and they just feel alone and they feel like, do you know what I mean? They're acting out because of that. Most people aren't going to go to the extreme of amputating someone's foot over it, but, still, I mean, you just never know. So, spreading the kindness and the compassion and, as much as possible is, hopefully more people start doing that, because it's just not that common anymore.
Right. Right. All right. So Jennifer Aniston says there are no more movie stars and hates social media. It's a torture for her. I was reading the article and I can kind of understand where she's going with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I was understanding correctly, it's like she's saying it's taking the glam away from in the entertainment world.
Mm-hmm.
With everything with social media, and basically all you see on social media is a lot of drama,
Mm-hmm.
ignorance, so that's
Oh,
kind
there's.
of like overpowering the whole point of entertainment, which
Mhm.
is kind of built around glam. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Oh, I got you. And I have kind of like conflicting views on this, because I'm kind of like, I can kind of see where she's coming from, in the sense that, like, you watch like old movies and these really old, like, from back in the day, and there was a certain like elegance or glam back then. Like, she put it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there really
yeah,
was. Times were also completely different. I mean, so and I but then on the flip side, I'm kind of like, well, is she just being greedy because they don't want, because now, with technology and more people doing podcasts and doing, being able to get their own platforms out there, is she jealous because she doesn't feel as special? Do you know what I mean? So, like, I'm kind of seeing both sides of
and
that
so
argument.
what you do with that is then you transform into the new trend.
Exactly, but it's kind of like, is she even like, I don't know if someone who has lived that lifestyle can really see things from like the other side's perspective. Like, because she did, like, I didn't grow up in the limelight. Do you know what I mean? I didn't grow up like, so I can see like our view of things. Like, it's nice that we get a voice now, that the common person, I think common people should have a voice. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
every person who wants to be able to get a message out there should be, and that's what I promote with, when I write any articles or I write any blogs or anything like that, any pieces I write, it's to help people get a voice out there. And so I'm definitely an advocate for the newer ways of doing things. I think there was a certain spark in the old Hollywood. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed like, when you had like, I don't know, I grew up watching like Wizard of Oz. That was my all-time favorite movie.
yeah.
And you had, like,
Well,
Judy.
it's like as a kid when I would watch those things on TV, that's what drew me to it was the glam. Like, oh, I
Yeah,
wish I could
yeah,
be somebody like that and wear a nice long evening gown. And you know what I
yeah,
mean? That's
yeah,
so yeah. That's why I said I can kind of get where she's going with it. But then I
yeah,
can see your point too. Is it that she's being a little selfish because
yeah.
something else is trending and she might not have as much spotlight anymore?
It could be. I don't know. I mean, you hear like, and probably a good 90. 5% of, things that you read you can't even believe. Do you know what I mean? Like, so you have to watch. So it's like, okay, did she really say this? Are they just, reporting it this specific way at from a certain angle to be able to get out the story they want told? You know what I mean? Whoever it is
Yeah.
that's writing the story, or, I mean, it's hard because it's like, obviously you don't know this person personally, but
Yeah.
at the same time, yeah, I can definitely see where she would be coming from, you know, just because, yeah, there was that certain spark, certain glam. I'm a huge fan. I was so sad when Olivia Newton-John died. Right, she has been my favorite singer since I could like walk and talk. Right, so I watched her movie like Xanadu, and that movie was just it was not like real big, and I think whenever it came out, it wasn't real popular or anything like that. But like there was a certain she danced in there, and just I don't know. There's something
I
about the
remember,
old.
yeah, the way she used to dance, and
Yeah.
that's when I actually wanted a pair of leg warmers. Cause you remember how she used to
Oh,
wear the yeah, with the stockings and the leg warmers, and that's what made
uh-huh.
me want leg warmers and the headbands. So
I'm glad to see she influenced you too, and I was excited. I saw Pink is going to honor Olivia Newton-John with in her what at an awards show. I think coming up, she's gonna do like kind of like a performance in honor of Olivia Newton-John. I was like, that's so sweet. So like, but yeah, I was like, I feel like with Olivia Newton-John, there was a certain like, I saw her live once in concert back in my like early 20s, forever ago. But there was just a certain raw talent and elegance to her. Do you know what I mean?
mhm,
And yeah,
yeah,
you do feel these days like, kind of reality TV came in, and you're like, these people are just like there's a lack of class a lot. Do you know what I mean?
you can
Compared to
see the difference because now when you turn on the TV, all you see is um girls half dressed,
yeah,
BBLs, big boobies. Back
yeah,
then, you saw elegance, long gold,
exactly.
silver, shiny dresses. You know what I mean? Long, pretty hair.
Certain
You know
pride,
that type of stuff
yeah,
is what you saw when
yeah,
you know,
certain pride in themselves. They weren't like, I don't know. It's just I can't quite put my finger on it. I just know that, like you said, you can definitely see the difference. Do you know what I mean? You just have to pay attention, and
yeah.
you can definitely like and I grew up. I don't even know how old you are, but I grew up in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I'm
So
50. I grew up in the 80s, so I know that's why I know who Olivia Newton-John is. I can't remember the songs that I used to dance to, but I was into Olivia Newton-John, I was into Madonna,
yeah.
Boy George, I was into all of that music, pop culture, Michael Jackson, all of that.
Oh
I was
yeah.
into all of that.
Yeah,
Those
you
were
felt
those were the posters that you would see on my bedroom wall.
yeah, me too. I used to have I think my whole bedroom was filled with like those teen magazines back then with
Teen
all the art.
magazine, right on. Yeah.
That Bop magazine, I think I used to, put up a lot in my room. Yeah, I think my parents must have told me to take them down like 5 times. I just kept them up. I was like, yeah, whatever, I want them up. But I think Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I think he played on that show Home Improvement, and the voice
Mhm.
of Simba and the Lion King and all that. He was like my first crush, and I had his posters all over my wall. But yeah, it was just times are definitely different. But I feel like that world isn't lost. So, as far as Jennifer Aniston making that statement, I feel like it's still there. If she feels like it's that lost, then, maybe she can find ways to help bring that back. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Hold galas and I don't know, make a movie about it. I don't know. Like, you know,
Yeah, do
art,
something.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
ever feel like back then was a little more funner then than now?
Do I feel like that?
Yeah.
I feel like it was because, and I don't know if it's like because I was younger and life was just more simple back then. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and now it's like, you get into adulthood and then all the stressors of adulthood. So it's like, is that why I feel like that? Or is it, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Well,
I
I
don't know.
feel like it was funner back then. Like when I look now, it's like I think about when I was a kid at the
Hmm.
age that the kids are now and what I would be doing. And I was outside.
Oh yeah.
racing up and down the street with my friends on the block, playing double dutch, walking to the park. You don't riding bikes, roller skating. You don't see any of that anymore. Like you literally don't walk to your front door and see kids up and down the street playing. Taking the thing off the fire hydrant and running through it when it was real hot outside. You don't see any of that anymore.
And it's a sad state because, and it's like I try telling my kids, back, like we'll take them to, like, a store because we have to do something, like Walmart, perfect example. And when I was a kid, my parents just used to leave me. We would, like, me and my brother, we'd go all through the store by ourselves. You know what I mean? Run through the toy section, whatever. And nowadays, it's like, as a parent, the world has shifted so much, and all of the bad that you hear. And I think parents, a lot of times they're just trying to protect their kids. Do you know what I mean? Because they're fear of, like, what may happen. Like, God forbid, like you're being followed in a store, or your kid, like, leaves your. Do you know what I mean? Because the world has shifted, unfortunately, and where it's more fearful. And even like where we live, we don't. I can pretty much let my kids go out and play whatever, and I limit, like, because the whole screen time thing and everything. So I definitely limit that with them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
That's good that they're structured because
yeah,
I don't think it's nothing wrong with the kids having iPads and tablets, but I just feel like there should be structure and
yeah,
guidance.
like, yeah. Well, I know I just blocked. My kids were on to Roblox, that game Roblox, and I just banned them from playing it recently, actually, because there were things on there that no kids should see. And I'm
Oh,
like,
really? In Roblox?
yeah, I was surprised. Well, this happened back a while back, and then they supposedly, like, removed it. But then my oldest, she's 14. A friend of hers was saying, she was just recently playing it and saw this scene of, like, a 14-year-old and 25-year-old, like, hooking up with the characters in Roblox, and I'm like, that's not something like my 6-year-old needs to see. You know what I mean? When he's sitting there playing on Roblox, I don't think it's appropriate. I'm like, and so there's certain things, and every parent's going to parent different, but I personally ban them from Roblox again. They're not allowed. I'm like, that is not necessary to put stuff like that in a game that kids are playing. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
But like I said, in addition to that, limiting their screen time. Like I said, where we live, I don't really have to worry about them playing outside. Now, if I lived in a more populated area, I probably would have to worry about it a little bit more,
Yeah.
just because, like, there are so many dangers lurking out there, and you're like, man, you get, and it's so hard too, because back in the day, whenever the news, like, you just sat in front of the TV and that's the only news you got, or you heard it on the radio. Now it's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're getting, no matter where we look, we're getting bad news, like, and all these horror stories, and I think that gets in our heads too.
Got a few comments. Yeah, let's get physical. Physical. Yeah, I couldn't think of the song.
Yes, I'm all about it, right? 80s baby, I love it. Roblox, and more Roblox from us. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised by that too. Like I said, it happened a while ago, and I had banned them, and then I thought they had taken care of the issue. So, I let them play it again, then that happened again. I'm like, all right, you're done. Like, there's plenty other things for you to do in the world than to sit there and play a game of Roblox. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, you
Yeah.
know, I was like, from the sounds of it, I'm ready to have my kids just play, like, when they want to play video games, go back to, like, Nintendo era. That, like, just says my age. But, like, just go play some Mario Brothers, like, with this stuff that I don't even know. It's crazy.
Sega, Atari, those
Oh,
games. And you can
I,
actually find a lot of those games online too. They
yeah,
still
yeah.
sell them.
I know. I wish so bad I still had my Atari. I need to invest in one of those, I think, again, for my kids.
The one that I liked was the Wii because it's interactive, so it
We
makes you have to
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. We used to love that game. Yeah, we was awesome. The Wii board, right? And then, like, they had the Wii board, so we had, like, I think we had. It's been years since we played it. Do you still play it at all?
No, we don't have one anymore. But
Oh,
when
okay.
we did, we were playing Michael Jackson. We were
Mm-hmm.
doing those dances, and we did a lot of the dancing games, and then the kids did some of the other. Now, I did attempt, and I bought the exercise board. I did attempt to work out.
Did you? Yeah. That's funny. Hey, the effort was there, right? The
Yeah.
air, some effort. That guitar, was it Guitar Hero? I think we used to love that game on
I
the.
Atari, I liked it. What was the game? Pac-Man,
Oh yeah,
Galection.
mm-hmm.
Um, there was another one. I was only good at a few, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not real good at if they ask me for help today with today's games, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm like, this is
No,
beyond my scope of like
not at
knowledge. I
all.
I'm like I
The
couldn't.
only game that I can play is Mario. That's it.
Mm, yep, Mario
That
Brothers.
is it. But
I'm
all
good.
those other games, Grand Theft Auto, and yeah, I don't even attempt.
I think they've been into like Minecraft or something or
Yeah,
whatever.
Call of Duty, all those games, I don't even attempt.
Yeah, I'm like, nope, I'm good. I'm like, Daddy will have to help you. I have no idea what I'm doing, or you're on your own. You can figure it out yourself, you know. So
Right.
that concerns me too. Like, because I know with some games, they talk to perfect strangers over the games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And that,
because we're playing online, so that's I
mm,
feel like when they made that, I don't know if it would be on the parent or the creators who made it where you can play online, but I feel like they should have it where there's a section for underage and then
mm.
older people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but would there be any way to really even like monitor that, like any real way? Because I heard there's like adults pretending to be kids on those things and
Well, yeah,
stuff.
that's true too. It's same way
So,
with social media. Even if there's a section for just underage kids, there's gonna be somebody who's gonna create a profile with a fake
yeah.
birthday. So
It's
yeah,
it's yeah, I and it brings up I'm going to be volunteering actually for a nonprofit, and they work with like, victims of human trafficking, and I was learning some stuff about it, and I was learning about how a huge problem that's getting even bigger with grooming kids is through like the metaverse and these online games. And this is how a lot of these kids are being groomed through from the looks of it, it's getting even, worse. And the numbers were staggering to me with human traffic victims that are children before COVID versus post COVID and stuff have just gone up astronomically. And I'm just
and
like,
because also too though, yeah, that's one way.
mm-hmm.
But what a lot of people have to realize too is that it could be your neighbor, it
Oh,
could
yeah.
be it could be your friends when they go to their friend's house, their relatives. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's
Oh, yeah.
everywhere.
I know my kids aren't even allowed to spend the night anywhere except like my parents and my sister. Like they're like they've never really been allowed to have sleepovers anywhere. Like I just can't. You know what I mean? Like you just never know. And I
Yeah.
get that you can't like put your kids in a bubble, but I let them have sleepovers here.
You
Like
don't want to, but how else do you keep them safe? Because like it's like nowadays, like you can't even feel like your child is safe around a coach, a gym
I
teacher. All these people in
it's
position that are there to be role models and protective. You can't trust them.
and when that trust is breached by one adult for these kids, it is destroying their perception on what being an adult is supposed to be. Like you said, they're supposed to be these kids' role models, but
Yeah.
then that destroys something inside of them. I think where it's kind of like skewing their mindset. Like, is this really what it's like to be an adult? Like, is this really how you like interact with kids and stuff like that as an adult? And it's kind of like I don't know. I feel like it's messing up the next generation. The more it happens. So yeah, I definitely protect like I said, they're allowed to have friends spend the night here. Like they've had friends spend the night here. I'm fine with that because it's like under my
Yeah.
roof going on,
That's
you
how it
know?
was with my kids. I let all of their friends come hang out at the house, and
Yeah.
I'd rather have your friends come here where I can see and know and hear everything that's going on versus you going to somebody else's house, and then like the topic we're going to talk about on Sunday, Friends
Mhm.
are very devious. You can't even consider everybody your friend. So you
Oh
know
my
what I'm saying? I would have hated to
God.
have my child at somebody's house and come up
Mhm.
unawakened and then get some type of false
Mhm.
story as to what happened. You know what I mean?
And it's so funny you say that because my oldest, who she's 14, I told you, and she, has been going through some sort of, that teen drama, girl drama stuff. And I told her, I said, honestly, I'd almost rather you would be friends with boys. I was like,
Well,
girls
some
vindictive.
of them are just as bad.
That's true, but these girls, man, some of them are just vicious. Like,
They're vicious.
man,
Like back in our days, girls are always gonna have that. We
yeah,
had that stuff going on back in our days where we were doing the he say, she say, or
yeah.
fighting over I let you wear this and you haven't given it back. That type of stuff. But
Mhm.
it's way more deeper than that now.
Oh yeah,
Way
it's
more
the
deeper.
the stories that I hear about like what these teenage girls are getting into and stuff, like I thought we were trouble back in the day, you know what I mean? Like just doing like, sneaking out for a walk around the block or something, you know what I mean? Like whatever. But the stuff they're getting into now, I was honestly in shock. Like I had a talk with my daughter's one friend's mom, like I don't know, it was like a month or so ago. And she filled me in on some of the things going on with some of the girls in the school district. And honestly, I was in shock. I was like, I mean, honestly, where are the parents? Like, do you know what I mean? Because it sounds like some of these girls have no boundaries at all. And,
Well, a lot of parents, you have to look at a lot of kids come from single family homes. So if it's a single
yeah.
family home, that parent is probably 9 chances working 8 hours
Hmm.
a day or more. You know what I'm saying? And then
There's,
you do have some parents who try to, put that structure and that discipline there. But
uh,
again,
there's
when it's one parent, it's kind of hard.
That's absolutely true in a lot of circumstances. And in a couple of these particular circumstances, I was made aware that the one mom just drinks all day, and she
Or
literally
you
puts,
got those too.
yeah, she literally lets her daughter do whatever she wants, and I think that causes resentment in her daughter, yeah, and so her daughter's acting out. Do you know what I mean? Because I mean, kids say they don't want boundaries, but obviously they thrive on them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have to have some sort of like to be able to, grow up and be, you know, contributors to society. They have to learn boundaries and like, the difference between right and wrong and all that. And so just some of the stories I was told was just it's mad out there, man. I
You
don't
do
even.
have a lot of parents that want to be their kids' friends too.
Oh yeah, and that was a huge thing. I'm like, and I told my daughter, I was like, listen, I love you to death. I said I'll be your best friend when you're like over 18. You know what I mean? I was like, till then, guess what? I'm your mom. But even then, I don't care if you're
Even
like,
then, there's still boundaries.
yeah, if you're like, even if you're like 50, and I think you're like going down the wrong path. I'm going to speak up. I'm going to pull out the mom card again. Like why
Yeah.
not? It's just ingrained. It's who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, I enjoyed this discussion
yeah,
and
I did.
thank everybody who tuned in and shared their actually before we go, I have a couple of questions from the group.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So here's one question from
Okay.
Joe. If you're watching, he says, what's your definition of an ideal house guest?
An ideal house guest?
Yeah.
I don't know, someone who's not going to come in my home and think that they can, dictate. Oh, a huge issue I have when someone tries to overstep their boundaries with my kids. They can't come into my home and try and overstep their boundaries with my kids. But I mean, I don't know about ideal house guest as far as like what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't know if he meant a house
I,
guest is visiting
I
or
don't,
living with you.
or like maybe the spending the night thing or something. I don't know.
Well, okay, so mine's is don't touch my Pepsi or my Snapple and don't sit in my chair.
Yeah, right. Right? So you lay down those ground rules, right? Get the ground rules out of the way, and then hey, make yourself at home. Like that's.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty laid back when it comes to having guests. I'm like, I always tease them like I'm the worst host. I'm like, you know where the kitchen is. You want something to eat or drink, like go
Hey,
get it.
once you come to my house more than twice, you're not a guest. You know where everything's at. I no, go help yourself.
Yeah, don't overstep your boundaries with my kids, and don't, I don't know, don't like steal stuff. I don't know, but at the same time, like make yourself at home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, have a good personality. I don't know.
Yeah,
I,
just home training, pretty much. I mean, I don't know. All right.
common courtesy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So, next question: can self-love help your relationship? Yeah, I think that's very important in a relationship. I mean, to be in a relationship, you do need to have self-love. You gotta love yourself first before you can love anybody else.
That's so important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you watched The Real Housewives of Potomac. But this question was, what is your take on the ladies insinuating Chris is making advances? Do you watch that one?
I didn't watch that one, no. So I don't
Okay.
know.
So have you ever watched it?
Yeah, but I've been watching a lot of cartoons these days.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah. So you have to fill me. I mean, I've watched it. I just haven't watched. I don't know what she's talking about here.
Okay, so Chris is Candace's man or
Yeah.
husband.
Okay.
So he reached out to Ashley in her inbox about something, and it was something really minor to me. It was taken way out of context. And then they were all on a trip too, and he wanted to talk to Giselle about, I can't remember exactly what the situation was, but it was a situation. So he
Okay.
kind of knocked on the door and came into her room. She was completely dressed. She was decent. He said what he had to say and he left, but she's making it more, it's like they're kind of like, and I don't know if it's for storyline, but they're just kind of making it out to be more than what it really was. And
Blowing
Candace,
it up for
yeah,
shade.
Candace is
Okay.
upset and she's just not going. She's
Okay.
not going.
There's like sounds like a lot of jealousy going on, maybe.
I don't know if it's jealousy or if they're
Okay.
just being messy or if it's just for a storyline.
Probably
You know
just
what
for
I
this.
mean?
I would assume, but yeah.
So
Uh,
she went to she went to production and she went off on production. She was like, "No, we are not doing this. You are not about to make my husband look." She went off.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
I'll just start watching those episodes again. Like I said, it's been Cartoon Central in my house recently, so
okay.
yeah.
So those were the questions. So yeah, if
Okay.
anybody wants to ask us for any advice or any questions on anything or have, just something you want to throw out there, please write into my blog at Ask Miss Londa blog page on Facebook. I love to hear what's on your mind, your thoughts, your opinions, questions. Yeah. So with that
Absolutely.
being said, we are going to come to an end. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Kara. And you have a
Yes.
good night. And everyone else have a good night as well.
Bye, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.